Cool weather's coming in. Hoodie time is here. Today, I'm going to show you how to tie-dye a hoodie. My name is Nate. Thank you for joining. And today, we're going to learn how to make this hoodie right here. This is a youth hoodie. So we're going to be learning how to tie-dye a hoodie for your kids, or if you want to tie-dye with them. So this is a cotton hoodie. You're going to want to find a hoodie that is cotton, or at least as close to 100% cotton as possible. It can be kind of difficult to find 100% cotton. I believe this is an 80-20 blend, which is 80% cotton, 20% polyester, and then it has a 100% cotton face. So if you're trying to find something with the most vibrant colors, you can find something that has 100% cotton face, and that will give you your brightest colors possible. Some of the stores, there are quite a few of hoodies that have a 50-50 cotton to polyester blend. They will dye. They'll just have a faded look. So if that's all you can find, don't worry, it will still dye. It just won't be quite as vibrant. Okay, so you're going to need a few supplies. You're going to need some rubber bands. You're going to need some dye, and you're going to need to mix that dye. So if you don't know how to mix the dye, please watch my video, What is Procion Dye? And it will go over how to mix the dye for you. And then you're also going to need some dish soap. And I believe that is it. So go ahead. You're going to need to wash your hoodie first as well. So all of the hoodies need to be pre-washed. So wash your hoodie in the washing machine. It doesn't need to be dried, but it does need to be washed. And then we're going to prep it. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. After your hoodie is washed, you're going to be soaking it in soda ash. And so this water right here is a soda ash solution of 1 gallon of water to 1 cup of soda ash. I'm going to be putting quite a few hoodies in here. So I have 6 gallons in this, so I put 6 cups of soda ash. You can put as many items in that will fit, and then you're going to want to let it sit. So we'll see if like all these will fit in here. You need to make sure that they get completely wet. So press it in there. And with hoodies, they're going to take quite a bit of water. And so if you're only doing one, you're probably going to need at least 1 gallon of water. 1 gallon should be just fine for one. So you're going to get it all in there. Let all your liquid absorb. And then you're going to want to let this sit for about 15 minutes. All right, once your hoodie is sat in here for about 15 minutes, it'll be ready to wring out some of this extra moisture here. And so you're going to want to squeeze it. Try to get as much of this water out. And then you can give it a little twist to squeeze to wring out. You don't want to twist too hard because you can tear some of the stitches. So be careful if you do that. But your goal is to get as much of the water out as possible. So now that we've got it about done dripping, so we're going to put it in the bucket right here. It's still not quite ready to tie yet. It's a little bit too wet. So if you want, you can either hang it up to let it dry out for a bit because you want it to get mostly dry but not completely, or we can take it to the washing machine and put it on the spin only cycle. So I'm going to go do that right now. To spin out the excess water with the washing machine, what you want to do, turn it on. And with mine, so there's a lot of different settings, but mine is the front load. And so what I do is I can come over here to this rinse and spin setting, and it automatically puts the rinse on here. I do not want it to rinse. So to turn the rinse cycle off, I have to push this all the way till it turns off. Once that rinse cycle is off, it's good, because if it rinses, then it'll rinse the soda ash out and you'll have to soak it again. And then to spin it, I put it on the highest setting for the spin, and then we start it. So our shirt is now at just the right dampness. So it's almost dry, but it's just slightly wet. And so if it gets too dry, it'll get kind of crispy. And so if you're hanging yours to dry, you'll want it to get to where it's just a little bit damp and almost dry. And that'll help it fold a little bit better. And so I've got it inside out and face down on the table here. And to do a spiral, you can use your fingers or you can use a tool. I've got some chopsticks right here with rubber bands tied around each side. And what this will do is we're going to make a pinch right in the center of the shirt and about let's see. So on the kids' shirts, we don't want to go too low. So maybe a half inch to an inch below the armpit. And then you're going to go over here to the middle and you're going to make a pinch right there. And if you don't have a tool, you just want to do this with your fingers, then you can just start twisting up. But if you have a tool like this, so you can open this up, stick this on here, and just start to twist. So you can do this with your fingers. And actually, before we go too far, be sure to pay attention to the sleeves. So see how this fold is getting here. You want to continue this fold all the way into the sleeve. With short sleeves, this is a bit easier, but with the long sleeve, because the sleeve is not in here with the rest of the shirt, it can get a little bit difficult right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue this to here. We've got this fold right here. Eventually there'll be another one in here, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. In any folds that have started, we're going to continue these folds out a bit. You won't be able to do all of them just quite, but this will help so that the hoodie can spiral up more smoothly. Okay, so now we're getting to about here. And that's about as much as the hoodie itself is going to spiral. So we're going to have to tuck in the rest. So you're going to have to hold this with one hand. If you have somebody there, if you're tie-dyeing together, this may help, or you can do this one-handed. But you're going to just continue all your folds out and tuck. So right here, so this fold, you'll have a fold probably about right here. So this is going to tuck in just like this. And this one is going to tuck. But then we're going to have to, so it looks like this is going to balance right here. Be careful if you let this go. We're going to make some folds so that it folds on the same style as the first fold. So that may seem a little difficult right there, but each fold is going to be the same as it works out. It's kind of a natural fold for it. The long sleeves can be a little difficult. So if you do need help going over that, just go back and rewatch that part. That went very smooth. They don't always go quite that easy. And of course, while I'm doing this on camera, it just went simple like that. And then you're going to take the rest of the shirt and you're just going to tuck it for the rest of the hoodie. And then you're going to tuck it. So right here, now we've got our spiral shape. And I'm going to press in, I'm going to squeeze just a little bit so that it holds its shape right here. Now I'm going to let go. I'm going to take some rubber bands. For a shirt, I only use 4 rubber bands. For a hoodie, it just depends. Sometimes 4, sometimes you need more. Like on these kids' hoodies, you'll probably only need 4, but we'll see. So you're going to take 4 fingers and stretch it like this. You may have to use your thumb, but you're going to stretch it over the shirt and put it right in the middle, just like this. Hopefully it goes as easy for you as that did for me. So now I'm going to turn this 90 degrees and do it again. So as you can see, I actually have, there's my 4 fingers, and then I take the thumb to lift like this. That way it spreads over the shirt completely. And my knuckle here, I'm pressing down on the table. And that way it slides on the table and I can get it into the middle. Because it will grab, it does get kind of difficult. And it may move your shirt. The goal is to keep this as still as possible. So now I'm going to take these out. And I'm going to put my fingers right here and make sure that I do not move the center. And I'm going to gently wiggle till it comes clean. And if you pull that out, you may have a hard time pushing it back in, and you may have to retie the whole thing. So be careful pulling that out. Then we're going to take 2 more rubber bands, and we're going to put it right across each section right here. And something's grabbing. Sometimes it will grab. Just be careful. Don't force it. And there we go. There's our spiral. Okay, so I've got the cleaner side down first. We're going to dye the messy side first. And so I've got 8 colors here, and then black as well. And so with the way that this is sectioned out, what we're going to do is we're going to use a different color in each section and just work our way around. So I'm going to start right here with the fuchsia. And you're going to want to put less in the middle and more on the outside, but you're going to put quite a bit of color. And so we're going to put color on both sides of this. So what we want is we want the color to go at least halfway down. And it's going to spread to the side a little bit too. So you're going to want to be a little careful not to let it bleed too much. So usually what I'll do is I'll put some of each color down, and then I'll go back through and add a little bit more as needed. And so I'll just do a little squirt of this at a time. And with this being an 80% cotton and 20% polyester. So the way that it's done, it also has 100% cotton face. And so the side that I'm adding the dye to right here, with it being inside out, has more polyester. And so this side is actually going to look more dull than the other side once it's done. So you can see how, like on the edge, how it's real fuzzy, and there is color there, but it's white. That white is going to stay white on this side, but on the other side, it's going to be much more vibrant. Yeah, and so you see how my center is a little bit off here. So I do kind of want to work towards that middle point, because that is the center of my spiral. So we're just going to keep going through. Just add a little bit of each color. And they can overlap a little bit too with the colors next to them. You don't want to overlap too much here into the yellow, because yellow is going to get overtaken quite a bit. So I'm going to actually make sure to put quite a bit of yellow here. Make sure that this orange doesn't push over into the yellow too much. And I'm going to actually take some of this yellow over into the spot next to it a little bit, so that when I put green right here, that green will mix with that yellow. We'll have kind of a bright yellow right there in the middle. Yeah, I like to overlap my colors just a little bit. That way there's gradients between the colors rather than a hard line between each one. And so it gives you a smooth blend between both colors, and then all the way around your spiral as well. And so here, this turquoise color, I make this color, is a mix of turquoise dye, but that turquoise dye is kind of like a really bright blue, and then just the tiniest little bit of green, just a little bit, and it gives it this nice bright turquoise color. Not quite teal, not quite aqua, but if you put too much green in, it will become very teal and aqua-esque very quickly. Very quickly. And then this blue here is that very same turquoise with just a couple of drops of purple into it. If you put too much purple, it'll be kind of a purple indigo. So what I'm going for here is for that deeper blue, almost indigo look, but not quite. There's a very fine line from one to the other when you're mixing colors. So I just buy base colors here, and then I mix everything. All of my colors, they're all going to be some kind of mixture of these colors here. And even these colors here are mixtures too, some of them. Fuchsia is a pure color. The orange is pure. The yellow is pure. The green, sometimes I'll add a little yellow into it to make it brighter. And then as you heard, my turquoise and blue have been altered. And then this purple is pure. It's as is. I think this is deep purple. As you can see, if we've worked all the way around in our spiral here. So what I'm going to do is now we're going to go back over the spiral one more time with each color. Make sure we got plenty of dye on each one. We can work into the center a little bit more here because I still see some white. And then depending on how much white you want in your shirt here or your hoodie, that'll be how much dye you put on. You don't want this to be dripping. That's too much. So just remember that dripping is too much. So do not let it drip. Once you get up to the point of dripping, that's kind of when you want to stop if you're trying to get color on the whole thing. If you want some white, then obviously just don't fully saturate the whole thing, and that is how you will get white in your hoodie. So if you want to keep a little bit of white in there, just don't put dye on all of it. But with this being a hoodie too, hoodies are thick material. They're going to take a lot of dye. So with this being a kid's hoodie, it won't take quite as much. But like adult hoodies and stuff, I can easily go through 20 ounces of dye or so, which is, so these are a 5-ounce bottle. So that means that that would be, I'm sorry, these are 4-ounce bottles. So that would mean 5 of these bottles to do just one hoodie. Yeah, and let's see, I'll probably be using 16 ounces or so. So at least 4 full bottles. We'll see. I'm using about equal color or equal amount of each color here. Yeah, and I just realized I did not mention anything about mixing dye. So if you do need to see how to mix dye, please check out my video, What is Procion Dye? And it will go over all of the steps for mixing your dye as well. Procion dye is the best dye for this. You will get the most vibrant colors and colors that stay, which is important. I don't use the store-bought dyes. They have a tendency to fade as they are not a permanent dye, where these are. Procion dye will be permanent. This will last for the lifetime of the hoodie. So now we got this side dyed. Now we're going to flip this over. There's a few things you can do here. You can dye it the same. You can now dye this side one solid color if you want, or you can even just dye it completely different. So what we're going to do is all of our colors that we used, we're going to shift them over, and this will give it'll be kind of a hard way to describe what it's going to do. It'll be but we'll get the most colorful shirt or hoodie by doing it this way. And so see how you can kind of see where the colors are. You can flip it over to look too. But what we're going to do is we're going to shift the colors over 2 spaces. And we're going to go, depending on which way, we can choose which way. So you can see right here, there's a lot of yellow right here. So this will be easier for us to just as a guide. So we'll start with yellow, but we're going to put yellow right here. So we'll just start, we'll make sure it gets in towards the middle there. But we're going to, right here, this will be our yellow this time. It's just to show that we don't have to dye it the same on both sides. And you don't have to do it exactly like this. You can put it in the same way. It's all up to you. That's one thing that is nice about tie-dye, is even if you're here doing, if you've been following all the way up to this very step, this right here is where you can even change things up completely to where we'll have a very similar product, but the overall look will be quite a bit different. So it's, if you want to do exactly this, you are welcome to, or something different. This is similar to my ultra color palette, but I will shift the colors even more with the ultra color palette, which has a very high potential for brown if you're not careful. So I decided to just do a 2 color shift here just to keep it from getting too brown. I'm going to put a little more yellow here, because this is probably going to even get a little bit of brown as well. It's right here when I put this orange there because of the amount of green. So I'm actually going to start working back this way. Because of the amount of green here, if those green and orange touch too much, there could potentially be a bit of brown. So we'll be a bit careful on adding this. A little brown, you know, it's okay. Maybe. That's up to you. I guess that's really a preference here. But you know, with this being a kids hoodie, kids get dirty. Kids crawl around outside in the dirt. Or at least when I was a kid, they did. I don't know about your kids, but yeah, kids get dirty. And sometimes if you just put them in a set of clothes that's one solid color and they get dirty, it's easy to tell. It's obvious. But by doing stuff like this, putting color all over in all different shapes and forms, and even allowing it to get a little bit of brown in there, that'll actually make this not look dirty when it first gets dirty. Won't look as stained and dingy. Okay, so now we go to our purple. And we're just following the same order as we did on the other side, because I think we're going in the same direction. I hope. Yeah, I think we are. I've just been dying and talking along, just going with the flow. It's what I do here. Just kind of talking with y'all as I do this. Whoops, I put that in the wrong spot. So we got two colors left. We got our blue. So that blue can go into that purple a little bit. Blue and turquoise left. And then this whole thing will be dyed. And then this will get rinsed out tomorrow. Like some of these colors, if they meet up, they'll actually make, like this right here, it looks like fuchsia on the other side. So fuchsia and blue, when they mix, they make purple. So you could have a lot of variances in color here. And then depending on how much dye you put on, you may have some white between some of the colors too. This looks like it may have a little tiny bit of white, but not a whole lot. So we'll see how this looks when we open it up. This is our last and final color. For we have our double rainbow kids hoodie. So there we go. We don't really need to put two colors on this side just because of how much dye went through from the other. So here's the bottom and the top of this. We will let that sit for 24 hours and then we'll rinse and wash it out. So our hoodie is now rinsed, washed, and dried. If you need to see how to do that, please watch my video, how to rinse and wash your tie-dye, and it'll go over the instructions on how to do that for you. So we're gonna go over this hoodie just a little bit real quick, just to kind of explain what we did. So we made the spiral. So as you can see, the spiral formation goes here. And we did a double rainbow. So there was a rainbow on one side and a rainbow on the other side. And so when looking at this, trying to figure out what is what, so every other line is going to be either the top or the bottom. So right here where this orange fuchsia purple is right here, this would be one side, every other line here, and we can continue it all the way around. And then on the other side is the opposite. So we shifted the colors by two when we turned it over. And so that gives us that variance in the pattern here. And so we end up, rather than just having just a normal rainbow, we still have a rainbow, but we've got the double rainbow here. It's very similar to my ultra color palette. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this backside here. And you can see how we have the same pattern on the back as we did the front. And by making sure that it is nice and smooth and flat at the beginning and taking out all your wrinkles, this is how you end up getting the same image on the back side as you do on the front side. So please be sure to click that like and subscribe for more videos. My name is Nate. Thank you for watching.